Welcome to the Color of Success podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie J. Wong. Many of us are feeling a wide range of emotions: sadness, anger, fear, sometimes hopelessness and helplessness. This season, we will be exploring all the feelings and ways to empower each other to take action. So, let's go. Game on. Elizabeth Akua-Nyarko Patterson is the founder and executive director of the Girls Education Initiative of Ghana, GEIG, whose mission is to provide academic and financial support for girls, including applicants with special needs, so they may access higher education and professional opportunities. Ms. Patterson holds a master's in public administration from NYU Wagner School of Public Service, where she specialized in nonprofit management. Prior to her work with GEIG, Ms. Patterson served as the Director of Communications and Marketing for the Council of Young African Leaders, CYAL, and Communications and Marketing Associate at Junior Achievement of New York. She is also an Acumen 2022 West Africa Fellow. Elizabeth is the author of My Life After Death, a memoir chronicling her life following an auto accident. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Like I mentioned, our publisher loves his authors and connected us, and I was so excited to receive the invitation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think we should shout out our publisher, Munn Avenue Press, Munn Publishing, Charlie Munn, for connecting us. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Absolutely. So let's kind of get started with that. I mean, tell me more about your book, My Life After Death. What a title to just capture people's attention.
All right. So I often say that on April 4th, 2003, I died. And that's just as much as we want to play around with this. I was in a coma for nearly 2 months because of a car accident when I was 18. And then during that period, I thought that I had, like, transition sounds very dark, but I thought I was in school. My parents always said that we would move from where we were living in Brooklyn to another place. And so in my mind, I thought we had moved, and of all the places to move, to the hospital room where people kept coming in, visiting, wishing me well. And then fortunately, a few weeks after that, I woke up from the coma, and I'm here to share everything that has happened since then.
What was that like? Because there's very few people who come out of that and have this ability to capture
Mhm.
their experience.
Um, I don't recall much of the accident, but I do remember, I think it was, I went to a boarding school in Pennsylvania, and it was during a period where we had a break, and Pennsylvania, New York, about 2, 3 hour drive, depending on where you're coming from. But I would take the SEPTA train from Philly to New Jersey, and then New Jersey catch the Newark bus to New York. Not to
Mhm.
give so much detail, but I recall us going for a break. I think it was Easter break or some one of the breaks, and then everything else after that it blacks out for me. So it was just a moment of me being in this place where, well, I was just in school and then I was home, and then what happened, And growing up, I come from a relatively extended family, but my nuclear family, my mom, my dad, my sister, myself, were very close. And then while I was in the coma, I recalled meeting some of my dad's cousins. And when I came out of it, I mentioned, oh, did so and so come to visit recently? And that's when it clicked for all of us that yes, maybe I wasn't gone all the way, because those people actually did come to visit. And me recalling it just was a testament to I was here, but I was not really here. So it
Hmm.
was that moment where I was in between.
Wow. I mean, how did that inspire you moving forward in your career? I mean,
Mhm.
you're just, for no pun intended, you're killing it. So it's just, how did you
I
progress
think
from
that's
that
that's
to?
a pretty good way to put it. Like I'm killing it. But I got a master's in public administration after I came out of the coma. And if anyone who knows me and knows me well knows that in some ways I'm kind of stubborn. Like you don't tell me you've almost died, right? And
Mhm.
then I'll tell you, well, my goal was I was supposed to be finishing high school. So I will go ahead and finish high school. And then I am working with part of my skull removed. This was during my college years. My skull fractured during the accident, so the doctors had to remove part of it to get my brain to swell, so they would later on bring it back. And the way it was described to me was, well, they've taken that, okay, I keep pointing to it, like
Uh-huh.
from this end to the front of my head, that skull fractured in the accident. So they kept it in the fridge for, I don't recall the amount of time, but for almost more than 6 months. So they could patch it together, and then my brain swelled, and then they did some surgeries to put it back together. And
Wow.
then later on, yeah, I had to do some cosmetic, well, I didn't do it, but the doctors did some cosmetic surgeries to ensure that I would be able to have hair growing here. And so it was just a gruesome period. And yeah, thanks to the doctors in Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania or Philadelphia for pulling me through, the doctors and the therapists. Yeah.
Yeah, you had, it sounds like exceptional medical care, but
Yeah.
also, how did you cope through that? Because the way you describe it, like you said, there's kind of this outer body experience, but also
Mhm,
as you're
mhm.
talking about it, I'm like thinking, okay, this sounds like Grey's Anatomy, but really it was your life. So, I mean, like,
Yeah, so my family support, number one, and if you have faith, I mean, I my faith is strong, so I would say it was not me. I I did a lot of it, like me being stubborn, my stubborn nature, just wanting to be the person that I was prior. But I would say God, my family, and a bunch of people praying for me throughout the whole process. Yeah, just praying for me. And so I think that's the number one way that I pulled through this. And I just gave accolades to the doctors, the physical therapists, the speech therapists, cognitive remediation therapists, all those people who helped me pull out of this very dark period. But yeah.
it also shows to your tenacity, your resilience,
Mhm,
though. And
mhm,
I
mhm.
think it sounds like you never gave up hope, but also you backed it up with action to progress your life forward. So,
Yeah.
um, super
Yeah,
strong.
just a comment on that, not ever giving up hope. I'm dialing in right now from Ghana, which is the country of my birth. And coming from an immigrant family, we located to the US when I was just 10 years old. And there was always that urge for my parents, for us meaning myself and my sister, to do better than they couldn't have ever dreamed of doing. So it was always that push, that encouragement, just keep going, just do the best that you could do for yourself. And thankfully, I have kids, so now thankfully do better than my parents dreamt for myself, my sister, and be an example for my kids and others in the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. And part of the reason, not only do I love Charlie and your story sounded
Mm,
amazing, but my closest colleague or now really close friend, we call each other psychology soulmates because we worked
mhm.
together for so many years, is from Ghana. And so I was like, this is kind of a sign for me. And
Mhm,
so I'm just really interested in hearing more about, the cultural aspects and how that
mhm,
really
mhm,
have shaped the work that you've been doing and your
mhm.
career.
Okay, so there's a section in the book where I talk about being an Ashanti woman, and not to discredit any other group of people in Ghana, but Ashantis are known to be really hardworking. Intrinsically, we just we just do better, right? And we are, I would say, maybe probably the backbone of the country. And the women, I mean, women of any walks of life, we carry a lot with us. And I think women really are the ones who carry our nations, our homes, all of that. So my culture, my parents, I applaud them so much. Never let us lose sight of who we are as Ghanaians. We spoke our language tree at home all the time. We always ate Ghanaian food in the house. And one thing that my parents always said was, well, when you get out there in the world, when you go to school, you can speak all the American English that you want to speak. But when you're in this house, you're still Ghanaian first and foremost. So don't ever forget that. So as I've grown up, my culture has been woven into every aspect of anything that I do. And it's kind of like I have to wear it on my chest almost, you know. And as a mom of children who are also American, I try to ensure that they also wear their Ghanaian-ness with them everywhere that they go. Yeah.
So I think it's a really important discussion to have because public administration, public health, what are some of the challenges that you see in this day and age that we need to tackle as societies?
So what motivated me to pursue well, public policy and an MPA degree was I felt like there was a huge discrepancy in education for throughout my recovery in 2006 till I think mid 2007. I was in Ghana during traditional medicine, traditional healing. But as I mentioned, I'm kind of stubborn. I don't like to just do one thing. I felt like I was too bored being here, just trying to get
Yeah.
my life back together. So I started to teach in a school in Kumasi, and I felt there was such a gap between I taught in a relatively low income private school. It's in an urban area, but I saw there was a gap between some of the kids whose parents were a little bit more affluent than those who were coming from low income homes. So I taught there, and then later on, I went to teach again in the central region in a school that two of my teachers from high school had founded. And that was vast difference from the school that I was teaching at in the Ashanti region. And so education reform, no child left behind, is really that policy is really something that kind of propelled me to want to get into public administration and make some inroads in education reform. Public health, I know there's a lot of issues in the world, and it's always about the haves and the have-nots, right? So those of us who have access and those who are being left behind, sadly, because if you don't have access to certain things, whether it's education, health, you're being left behind. I wanted my second chance, if I may, at life to be more impactful in certain spaces. And I chose to make that impact in education. And that led to me founding my own organization, the Girls Education Initiative of Ghana. It's a mouthful, GEIG. Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, that is a huge aspect that
mhm.
really does help because, I mean, I have two girls and I don't know the gender of your children, but
I have a boy and a girl. Yeah.
it's definitely hard to watch sometimes as
Mhm,
to the perceptions and educational opportunities that young girls
mhm,
have. And so I'm really adamant with my daughter because they're like, oh, I don't really like math. I'm like, but you're good at it. Don't let anyone
mhm,
tell you
mhm,
that you're
mhm,
not because
mhm,
they're killing it too. And it's just
mhm,
like, but
mhm,
it's going to be discouraged for you to do it and to be good at it, even if you
mhm,
don't really like it that much.
mhm,
Still just try really hard. And um, the you mentioned something really key of the haves and have-nots. And I
Mm,
think one of the most challenging and dangerous things is poverty. And that,
of
like,
course. Yeah.
that's just widespread. And no
Hmm.
matter what country you're in, you can see that that disparity is just so,
Hmm.
it can be so damaging. And so,
Hmm.
how do
Hmm.
you inspire the young girls that you work with that there is something to look forward to, that they can continue to strive for more and want more?
Okay, so we have a leadership development program called The Women Who Inspire Us, and representation really matters. I feel like if your little girl in Mount Pointe, which is in one of the, I don't want to call it a village, but one of the villages in the Ashanti region, and you don't see yourself aspiring to be a doctor, to be someone who can get out of their community and do better for themselves and their family, it's like you're already limiting yourself to what your potential could be.
Mm.
So we have this program where every 3 months, every quarter, we introduce them to young women or women who have done something for themselves. So they could also have something like a benchmark, something to aspire for and aspire to be. And if you ask any of our students, they will testify that that's one of the programs that they enjoy the most, the Women Who Inspire Us series. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what are your hopes in terms of growing the organization and ways that people can help?
Okay. So my life truth or my lived experience has kind of encouraged us to also do work with disability inclusion. Um, the ways that I would hope that the organization can grow as we're in our 11th year is do more advocacy work for inclusion or inclusive education here in Ghana. Because I often say that if you're a woman or a girl in this part of the world, the global south, you're number one, second class, right? And then if you're unfortunate enough, if you're a girl with a disability or a woman with a disability, you might as well count yourself as invisible. A lot of times when I try to get data statistics of populations of people with disabilities, and then if you want to funnel them down to women and girls with disabilities, it's almost non-existent. So and my hope is that through this organization, through my organization, we can make more inroads towards advocacy for inclusion, especially in education for people with disabilities.
What sorts of disabilities or challenges do you see most commonly in your program, and ways that they need to be addressed, or the girls need to
Okay.
be supported?
So we have a number of students who have been diagnosed as this dyslexia or dyslexic, and then others have a combination of dyslexia and dyscalculia. It's unfortunate that we will overlook people or a person with a disability or a person in general because you don't see what their issue is. We have girls who have visual impairments or visually impaired or blind, just to be blunt,
Wow.
that you can see. So you could easily say, okay, let's get her a braille so she could do well in school, or let's get her a stick. So when she's walking, people are aware of her situation. But if you have a student who's struggling because they're reading letters backwards, that's dyslexia, or they're struggling to understand math because they're seeing numbers in ways that traditionally you would not see that, it's harder to really get them the right support. So my hope is that through our support, we've gone without GEIG's interventions, these students would not have received the diagnoses that they do. And then we're able to get their schools to give them extra like accommodation so they could do well and excel in school in ways that without the testing and the accommodations, they would not be able to succeed.
How does the testing work? Like, do you have psychologists coming on site, or you have organizations that you're working with?
we have the contact of one doctor, Dr. Laura, or yeah, Dr. Laura, who we reached out to, and she had the students work with her over, I think, half a day period. She did her thing. I was not allowed to be in there. She tested them based on her methods, and then she gave us the report. So when we see any of our students struggling, we, well, because of I would say it's a privilege that I have been in this space where I have been a mainstream learner before the accident, and now because after the accident, I'm able to learn differently. And so when I see that in a student, I'm able to pick up on it. Oh, maybe Stephanie is struggling because of ABC, and then we will get her to see the doctor in a separate environment where she doesn't feel like she's being singled out or she's weird for having to see a doctor or a professional to get some kind of test done.
Absolutely. And I think neurodivergence is something that's just starting to go into the
Mm-hmm.
public's awareness,
Mm-hmm.
especially as
Mm-hmm.
ADHD is, underdiagnosed. And
Yes.
it's really
And
hard
in communities
because,
of color also, yes.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what's really hard is that the standardization is based on, okay, you have to be 2 grade levels below. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
really trying to get the accommodations and head it off early before they
Mm-hmm.
start to dip is the challenge here, right? Because the um, basic standards are not all that inclusive of girls of color,
Mm-hmm.
younger children, and girls. So it's amazing, and hopefully we can, gather more research on that as well. But well, obviously your story is amazing. What are you hoping to communicate through your book, and where can folks pick up your
Mm.
book?
Okay, so I've been saying this. I know a lot of people feel like, oh, you're such an inspiration. You're such an inspiration. And I didn't ask for the accident to happen, but
Yeah.
the way I've lived my life as if I am still the same person who was before the accident, I want people to know that there's life with disability. Like there's a lot of stigmatization of people with disabilities. And I see that more so here in Ghana and other parts of the world. Like if I'm traveling in places that it's not Europe or a developed country, in quotes, I see there's more stigmatization of disabilities. And my hope is that in as much as maybe my life story will inspire you, I want people to get the fact that people with disabilities are just like anybody else. They can live
Mhm.
full lives, they can have families, they can have children, they could be in relationships, they're just like everybody else, you know? And if once we start to accept all of us into in another interview, the interviewer mentioned that's like this crayon box of everything that we're all different somehow, but we could coexist and make beautiful paintings or whatever analogy you want to make. I think it will be better for all of us rather than seeing some people as the other and then some as being with the upper hand. So I feel like
Absolutely.
I'm hoping that we could all coexist and not see our differences so magnified.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important to share, because it's not only that, it's that if there is a stigma, there's less resources available. And if there are resources, then folks might be discouraged to access them. And so it's this like cycle that happens. And so that is a very powerful message. So
Thank
where can folks pick up your book and connect more to your organization?
So the book is available on Amazon.com. If you go on Amazon and you type in My Life After Death by Elizabeth Patterson, it will just pop up for you. It's also available on barnesandnobles.com. And for folks in Ghana, we're working diligently to work with some bookstores locally to have them, but you could reach out to us on Ability Talks on our Facebook page, on our Instagram or our TikTok. Like I guess that's the new thing, right?
Yes.
On our TikTok, all the platforms, and request a copy of your book locally. You could get that. And then for the organization, you could visit our website, www.girlsedgh.org, or Google Girls Education Initiative of Ghana, GEIG, and a lot of things will come up for you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing. And I'm hoping and rooting for you and the organization and all the girls in Ghana and around the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for having me on the podcast today. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for listening. We would love for you to subscribe to the podcast and join our community on all our socials at colorsuccesspodcast.com. Looking forward to you checking out my memoir, Cancel the Filter, Realities of a Psychologist, Podcaster, and Working Mother of Color on Amazon and wherever books are sold. I'd love to hear your Cancel the Filter moments.